Destiny 2 Origin Story Weapon Review. Anyway, the origin story is a vanguard auto rifle that you can get from good old Zavala from getting his good old quest line from the very beginning, just after you get that good old campaign done, or just from random packages. And I'd say this auto rifle is one of the best for just about any mode. Like, it's just an all-around killing machine. Anyway, the perks on here, you have Hitmarker IS, an agile sight, which has very short zoom. You got a snapshot sight with still short zoom. It's a red dot. Then red dot micro, which has, well, not too much handling, and it's still on the same zoom. Just depends on your preference, whether you want something with a clear vision, but cramped, a good old cramped reticle, or have something that kind of hinders your surroundings, but then also lets the reticle be alone, so you can just keep those headshots going. Then you have a pendant mag, which increases the magazine size, which I'd say is not too bad nor too good, because of, well, I'd say it's more of a PvE thing, and maybe if you're using the Active War rig, which reloads the weapon automatically, so extra ammo is always pretty good. And then you have Flared Magwell, which ramps up the reload and a little bit on the stability somehow. Then you have Rampage, the trait, the thing that makes this weapon good in PvE, mostly. The kills with this weapon temporarily grants increased damage, and it stacks to 3 times. And I'd say the damage on each stack really does make a difference, instead of like crowd control from back in the day. So yeah, I'd say this auto rifle is a pretty good candidate in both PvE and PvP, but it always is better to either get the weapon that specializes in either both. So maybe in PvE go for Nameless Midnight, or as of PvP right now, Mida Multitool. And anyway, the impact of this thing is a reasonable amount, like usually pretty good for autos. Range stat is actually pretty high up there compared to others, and I'd say it's very good to pair up with U-Reels or even other auto rifles, like, or even a sidearm. In this gameplay, I was pairing it up with just some rare sidearm that I had. My Titan is not that leveled up yet, but hey, the sidearm was similar to the Last Dance and Last Song, so I mean Last Song and Last Hope, so yeah, it was pretty good. Anyway, the stability on this thing is okay, and the recoil pattern is manageable. It's not too crazy like back in the day auto rifles, like Gear 2 or 3 auto rifles. And then handling is pretty good, surprisingly, and depending on the sight you have, you can decrease that handling and ramp up the stability or the range or whatever. Then you have a pretty good reload speed, 450 rounds per minute, which is the ideal rate of fire for this auto rifle, and many other auto rifles like the Prosecutor, like the what's that other one called? Uriel's Gift, yeah. And then a magazine size of 32 on this thing, which ramps up to 36 if you're using that extended mag perk. And I'd say this weapon is overall pretty good and pretty balanced. The only thing is that there's just too many Midas in the world to actually, well, come out on top frequently. It's still a good auto rifle, and if you're going into the right lobbies, you're gonna have a blast. But if you're on the wrong side of the gun, let's just say you might just rage quit. And other than that, the origin story is pretty easy to get. Just start up a new character and go ahead and go through the campaign and get that, play a few strikes, boom. You either get the origin story, the Nameless Midnight, or the what's it called? the pulse rifle, the Vanguard pulse rifle. I forget the name. Anyway, that pulse rifle is also pretty good to pick. All three of those are very good, especially the names Midnight and the origin story. And other than that, when it comes to other weapons that this thing can go with, sidearms always go with everything, and especially those two specific ones that I mentioned earlier, Last Hope and Last Dance, because those things are overpowered, and I'd say I've seen people pairing those up with Midas, so yeah, they gotta be good. And I've actually recently been using this thing with Valkadon, and I'd say it's pretty good, especially since, you know, Origin Story is more of a medium range, while Valkadon has a little bit faster fire rate, being a little bit better in close quarters. And overall, this thing is nice. It's not too crazy, not too overpowered, but not too bad either way. Anyways, see you guys later for another video on the channel. I'm out of here.